Welcome to Millionaire Case Study. This is episode 30. Here we are, 30 episodes in, hitting another milestone. And this episode is probably going to be a little bit different, I would imagine, than a lot of other episodes, just because of the space that I'm in right now. I'll get into that in just a second. So since episode 29, just to update, I did some pretty big things. I've been on several more podcasts. At this point, I've been interviewed this year between 30 and 35 times on 30 to 35 podcasts. And that's continuing. And I want to keep it going. And one of the big reasons is, well, I've made a goal in January to be interviewed 100 times this year. I don't know if I'm going to hit that, but it at least got me going and pushing forward. And at first I thought I was going to hold back on podcasts and getting interviewed. And then I had a conversation with Hal Elrod, who wrote the book The Miracle Morning, and he said that was his advice to me when I said, well, here's my book, I self-published it, he self-published his book, and I said, what would you recommend I continue to do with it? And he said, get on podcasts. He himself was interviewed about 250 times on different podcasts, and he's like, don't worry about the size of the podcast, just keep on doing it. And so that opened it up that I'm more open. I have my own podcast scheduler link, so if anybody is ever interested in interviewing me, I just send it to them. So that's just one thing that I want to document. Also, a big thing in this same vein is I just barely recorded my first ever I was a guest on somebody's online summit. Her name's Amanda. It's going to be an awesome online summit. And I was on there as the social media expert, and I gave a presentation on the 4 C's of social media success. She loved it, and it's going to be coming out in about a month. By the way, today is September 6th, I think. Let me just double check. 7th. Yesterday was the 6th. So today is September 7th, 2016. And I'm doing it in the middle of the week, Millionaire Case Study, because I usually do it either at the very end or the beginning of the week, but to be honest, I've kind of spaced it and forgot about it. And it's just because of this funky space I've been in. I think I go through like ebbs and flows where I feel great and then I feel low. I feel focused and I feel scattered. And I've been going through kind of this scattered mode, it kind of feels like. Just barely over the weekend, on Sunday, just a few days ago, I ran 25 miles, the longest distance I've ever run in my life. In training for this 50-mile ultramarathon that I'm scheduled to run in less than 3 weeks. And the thing that I just want to document is you would think that doing something like that, something I've never done before, running the 25 miles would give me a boatload of confidence, but it hasn't. And I don't know if it's because when I was done with that 25 miles, I was so exhausted. I ran it in about 5 hours. The first, I want to say, the first 15 miles, the first 17, 18 miles were great. Like, I kept going, and then near the end, everything just was such a grind. I probably wanted to give up more than 30 times. But every time I wanted to give up, I was like, good grief, I'm going to be doing double this. I can't quit. And so for really the first big time, I'm intimidated, to say the least, about doing this 50 miles. And so I think that's put me in kind of a reflective mood of what I'm taking on and what I'm capable of as a person, as an entrepreneur. And really why this episode's interesting, why I brought it up at the beginning, why it's different than others, is I've been so reflective and nostalgic. I don't know if it's because I've been scattered or if it's because I did that 25 miles and I was now wondering, man, am I going to be able to do the 50? But something I did last night that I haven't done in ages, I used to do a lot more, is I reflected and looked at videos and stuff of like 2 or 3 years ago when I was in sales. And I've been journaling every day since, almost every day. I have over 4,000 journal entries since I was 17. And so I looked back at what I was doing 2 or 3 years ago. And I just read and immersed myself into that life. And it was awesome because I think we lose sight sometimes where we've come from. I certainly do. Reading my journal and watching videos that I created 2 or 3 years ago, it did a couple things on that are kind of opposites. But one of the things it did is it surprised me at where my mind was at back then in a good way. Like, I thought that it took me like jumping out of the employee role and taking action to really get clear on some ideas, but I could see them popping up, like never wanting to be an employee ever again. I was thinking that and talking about that in my journal like 3 years ago. And I started to see the seeds of what I've been growing into. And that's been cool. So the one side is it was cool to see where I was already on track in a lot of respects. The other side that is still really cool is how far I've come. Just as an example, I remember in one of my journal entries being so excited because I broke the 170-pound threshold and because I was trying to lose weight. I've gotten down to 145 this year. And that was such a big deal for me. And it still is. But I just remember that being such a struggle. And it was so hard for me to get in the habit of working out consistently, and I would end up avoiding it all day and then having to work out at 11:30 or 12 at night sometimes, just because I wanted to get in the habit of doing it. And now it's almost like it's one of the first things I do. Usually, 8 out of 10 times I usually will work out in the morning, then in the evening, because it's just part of my routine now. And I've worked out. This is the month, September 1st. Marked the day, with Sundays my day off, that I've worked out every single day for 2 years straight. And it was just super cool to see where I've come from. That I've been on this path of wanting more and to get better. And there's a ton of things that I thought were crazy that are pretty normal now. And that's cool to see. Like, one of the things is in 2014, at the very beginning, I did something that in my journal I described as so crazy. And that is I signed up for a Spartan race, an 8-mile Spartan race. It's only been a year and a half, a little more. It does not seem crazy anymore. 50 miles still seems crazy. But a Spartan race doesn't seem crazy. And at the same time, I saw other things that were goals that I've hit. I wanted to get down to 155. I've gotten 10 pounds under that, and I'm going to keep getting in better shape. I wanted to make 10 grand in a month. I did that when I did solar for the first time last year in June. And at the same time, there's goals that I had, and it's cool to be reminded of those dreams that I haven't hit yet, that I still want to. I haven't hit 20,000 in a month yet. That's a goal I had, that I found in my journal, that I had in 2012, 4 years ago. And for the longest time, for more than a decade, my goal was to make my first $1 million in a 12-month span before I'm 30. Well, 30 is coming in a year and a few months. The only thing I can say is I'm just going to keep going after it. I've developed this, something that it was so huge when I was reading my journal. I just want to give my younger self a hug. Is there were so many things that I could tell that I wanted to do it, and I would just, I would talk about, man, I want to go out and do my own thing. And then I would journal about, what if I fail? What if my family doesn't have a place to stay? What if my family and friends don't accept me? What if my religious leaders, my church, thinks that I'm being too materialistic, wanting to go after things, and I don't have a good relationship with God and things like that? And man, there were just so many fears that I had 2 or 3 years ago. Not to say I don't have them. I do, and I still have these anxieties and these fears over things, but they're different now. And there's an understanding of things that have come over the last several years, and I'm just so grateful that I've been able to reflect and see that. I used to be so afraid of deciding to do something and worry if I did it, what would happen if it didn't work out. And while I was in that space, and I had just barely moved to Southern California, I then had my business coach, who would later become my business coach, Nick Gunsworth, say that successful people don't worry if they made the right decision or not. They just make a decision, then they make it right. That relieves so much pressure. And it's such a great understanding that, yeah, you can't change a decision you've made. It does no good to worry about it. All you can do is make a decision, and then it's what you do after that matters. That was such a huge thing for me, because I had such a big struggle there. And then at the same time, I had thoughts and ideas to do things like create my own business and to go do something, to create my own social media presence, my own website. But I worried that it would look like crap, or that it needed to be done a certain way. And another thing that just helped me so much is that to really succeed, you just have to take consistent imperfect action. Done is better than perfect. That was so huge, because I would just get so stuck. And it's cool to see how the evolution has been happening without me even realizing it. And if I haven't been able to look at my videos I recorded 2 or 3 years ago, or my journal, then I wouldn't know. And it just puts me in this nostalgic / reflective mode, and I'm full of gratitude. At the same time, I'm not where I want to be yet. But reading those things and seeing what my younger self dreamed about, it gives me so much to work toward. Because in the weirdest way, even though I'm not that younger person anymore, it's in my control right now to do what I do with my life, and I want to make my younger person, my younger self, so proud. I want to be able to tell my 23, 24, 25, 26, 27-year-old self that those dreams, those ambitions, those things that you wanted to do, those dreams, those desires, were not in vain. You did it. I just can't wait. I was just on a call with a friend right before this, and we haven't talked for several months, and she congratulated me. saying that she's seen a lot of stuff on social media of what I've been up to, and it looks like that things are going well. And she's like, man, you've come a long way in a year. And it's so funny because I forget about that, where I've come from, and at the same time, I don't feel like I'm there yet. I don't know if it looks like on social media that I'm doing better than I am or whatever, but I told her thank you because I needed that reminder that I'm on the right track. But at the same time, what I told her and what I just want to document is I am so ready to just explode and I know you have to be patient, and you have to be okay with the journey of like, just keep on going, grind. Fall down, get back up, just keep on going. But at this point, I just want to say, like, it feels inevitable, for the most part, that the life, that the success I'm after is there. It's just right there. But I'm just so ready for it. I want to taste it. I want to not worry about finances in any way, shape, or form. I want to have $1 million business. I want to have residual income. I want to have total freedom to do things that I want to do. I want to be able to travel and go to different countries. I want to be able to learn Spanish, not by a textbook, but by going to a Spanish-speaking country for several months. I want to be able to have different places. I want to be able to have my own house that's paid for, not just rent. I want to be able to take amazing trips to my family with people that I care about. And it comes down to just the general thing. I want to be so wildly successful and inspire other people that they can do it too. Because if I go far enough back in my journal, I see how much of a regular person and a regular dude I am that just had started with a spark of desire to make something bigger and better. And I want to show other people that if they have that, if they have the spark and the desire, they can create that life too. So I'm ready. If there's anything out of episode 30, I'm so ready to explode. In my business, being known, I'm ready. Hey, thanks for being here for this whole time. It really means a lot to me that you watched clear to the end here. So thank you. And if this was useful to you as an entrepreneur, if you know anybody else that's going through the process, please share this with them. Tag them. And I would love to hear from you in the comments below as well. So, I'm Calvin Wayman. I'm your millionaire case study. I'm on the journey. You're seeing it as it's happening. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next Millionaire Case Study episode. Peace out.